So we're going to watch an hour roughly of season 1 of From the Wild, which is backing up the clock. We're recording this kind of 2 years later. So that's a bit weird. And I'm going to start it. One of the weird parts for me about watching this now is that I remember cutting this and not having a good handle on what it meant. Like I just knew that, hey, this is really cool. I like this. I want to do more of this. And this intro really was the start of all of it, which is really weird. I cut the intro before I cut any full episode of anything. And these images became kind of a definer for the subsequent,
I see that.
like 1 billion seasons or episodes later, you know?
This is all Spray Lakes and Kananaskis.
Yeah. So tell me a bit about this.
It's funny.
What do you remember about this?
Well, just that we crammed so much into such a little short period of time. And it's funny that we're hand augering holes in the ice because I tore the cord out of the gas powered.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. Going back, this is a Canon 5D3, which is kind of a archaic camera for me now for work. This is back almost in hobby days. This was in just entering professional cinematography days for me. So it's funny to look back at this stuff at this point. Good times.
I like watching myself struggle. It's a thing.
And
it wasn't easy.
There you go. There's your
Oh,
breaking
this is when I destroy the auger. That was 3. And there you go. 1, 2, and 3. Fail. How many F's in fail?
Do you even remember why we went here? Why did we even go to Spray Lakes?
Spray Lakes?
I don't even remember the premise of like, hey Jeff, we should start this series called From the Wild. I can't even remember why.
Look at your short hair. That was before you had sick flow. Look at that, a younger Kevin Kossowan.
I know.
Why Spray Lakes? I don't know.
No, why From the Wild? Like, do you remember we went at this time? Did we know that we were going to do, seasons and seasons of this show?
No, I remember you asking, like, do you want to go fishing, and do you mind if I bring my camera? And I was like, no. What could possibly go wrong? It'll be funny, and it was.
Oh, that car just got towed away today.
Really?
Yeah, it's dead now. We drove the shit out of it. We killed it. From the Wild pretty much killed that car. So I like my Ewok outfit. I think that's pretty cool.
I like the flippers on that kid. I like how I'm pulling the stuff.
Yeah, you're the mule.
Yeah.
And what's kind of shocking, actually, looking back at this, is we got a lot right. One of the things that I'm proud of in season 1 is that we focused on physical geography that to this day I look back on and go, wow, that's stunning. And that was the idea. I think we got a lot of it wrong. I think we were very focused on going into somewhere neat that we hadn't been and doing something fun, but I don't think that we had the food dialed in yet because you're not yet eating anything.
No, it was a sad and cold time.
That looks sad and cold.
That was in the remnants of an igloo that someone else had built out on the ice.
That's right.
And no one there.
No.
That was a certain amount of misery. Actually, things have changed so much from the gear and the kit and just sort of understanding what it was that we were out to do.
And it's important to note that when we started this series, remember the discussions around kitchen tables in my family and Jeff's around, we don't know what the fuck we're doing. So how could we possibly do like an outdoor adventure, or not even an outdoor food series, when we're kind of hacks? And neither of us at this point had ever fished for lake trout. Neither of us switcheroo. Where are we now?
We're way the hell in Saskatchewan.
That's right.
On some ski-doos.
Yeah, that's my dad on the front, and that's me robbing a bank in about 20.
Wow, yeah.
In about 20?
Who's our costume designer back in season 1?
Whoever's doing wardrobe sucks, yeah.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
This guy needs a haircut. And, if you're watching at home, you should never use an auger inside a tent because the 2-stroke exhaust makes you high.
Yeah, for a long time. It doesn't clear out for a very long time.
It stays in your lungs and your clothes for a long time.
I'd like to point out that a few years later, Mr. Senger, you're also quite a few pounds lighter than you were in any of these.
I was fat. I think I just hadn't done enough From the Wild episodes. That's what really helped me lose the pounds. I still had cuts all over my hands, so you know that I was an aspiring butcher.
This is tip up 101 for me. Those are the biggest, clunkiest hooks, and we use that through season 2. We've since learned that that's a really stupid setup, and don't do that.
What do you mean the hook set was bad?
Well, those hooks are gigantic, and we thought big fish need big hooks, and we've since learned that that's just not the case. You can use little hooks and big bait, and that does the job. That's what we learned that from the guys that catch huge fish every year out that way. That's what they have taught us. There's a pike right there.
Yeah, there is. This Kevin Kossowan method of cinematography, though, changes it too faster than my mind.
Oh, look at that little mini pike. That was like a minnow pike.
You went from in the tent to outdoors.
That's because we didn't used to shoot sequences. We used to just shoot like whatever. Now you're down a hole again, and I think I've got a fish on. And then you're outside catching a fish. See, we wouldn't shoot that anymore. That's not how we storytell anymore, which is kind of cool. It's neat to see the evolution of just kind of storytelling.
No, I haven't seen episodes from season 1 in a long time.
But again,
that's fantastic.
Yeah, there's great shots, right?
Yeah.
There's stuff that you're like, oh man, we were such noobs early on, but then you watch some of the footage and go, man, that's really cool. I need to shoot that.
That alligator was barrel rolling there.
A teeny little pike relative to what we've slayed in the last year, though.
Who needs Saskatchewan?
That's like a 4-pound pike. Mini.
If you have Lester Slave Lake in your backyard, then who needs Saskatchewan, Kevin? I'm just kidding. I think the variety of being able to go to... Well, we have so many lakes within commutable distance in Saskatchewan and BC. I hope that we continue to check out other provinces and check out lakes that we haven't been in before. Oh, gruesome.
Yeah, that was the biggest pike I'd ever caught to that point. Until this year, actually, season 3. 9.5.
Yeah, it was. I remember that moment.
And we'd kept I think it's about to, in the next frame here, it's like a minnow, a little teeny little minnow of a fish right there.
Yeah,
I don't know, who would ever keep that?
I think that was definitely my choice, that little fish.
I caught it, and the reason we kept it was because it was the only fish we'd caught to that point, and we were kind of used to getting skunked.
Yeah. We needed a fish.
That was like the second or third fish in from the wild.
This is why Saskatchewan, by the way, is that, why not go to... Well, I don't know. It was fun, the adventure of it, and also fooling around with snowmobiles and hanging out with your dad a bit. That's a cool time lapse. But then also we did do well in that lake.
Yeah,
we put in the time.
There you go. That's why we went to Saskatchewan. We hadn't seen that kind of haul in Alberta ever until we figured out which lakes to go to, I guess. But that's still a humongous perch. I think we've possibly trumped that since then, and we've definitely trumped those pike size. But that's still us. Until that point, we hadn't. That reminds me of the 70s. That kind of gratuitous.
Yeah, when you're
fish death.
the pictures of our parents fishing in the 70s and 80s.
Are we drinking Moosehead beer? Wow, haven't had that since then. Since that day.
We learned. Oh, it was butterfly boning and filleting some jack, and now here goes some perch with a really clunky Japanese knife. No, that isn't the clunky one.
No, that's the Masashi.
Yeah. Sharp knives make a big difference.
Yeah, still use that to this day. And then, I guess, one of the weird things about From the Wild, too, that's going to become relevant as we go through this is we spent some time working on the roe here. That's just deep.
I can taste that. Yeah. That was a fantastic fish fry for a lot of cold, nose dripping couple days in Saskatchewan on the ice.
Yeah, and we did some croquettes here that changed how I right there.
Yeah.
That is fish roe. Oh,
mashed potatoes.
Fish roe, mashed potatoes, green onion or chive, and rolled up and deep fried, and it's delicious. And it changed how we approach roe.
Oh, my super aged strip loin. I think it's strip loin, beef strip loin.
Because it's pretty much wild, right?
It's not wild at all, but that's what I like to eat. 4 or 5 of those. That does a body good. Look, see, that's you could have throats, a larger throat diameter for eating all of that.
Multiple chins.
Yeah,
just gotta eat enough steaks.
Nice shots though.
Yeah, but again, it's funny. It's and kind of frustrating. Multi years later, we do food a lot differently now. That was just a few food shots. That would have been the food sequence, and now it's like a 100-shot sequence with I wouldn't say a lot of thought put in it. We're not getting contrived yet, but it's certainly. Oh wait, there's a
nice time.
Yeah, I'm getting lazy at the time lapses.
Oh, here we are breaking into bear.
look at that.
Somebody's kids making
I know, we're at your
butter.
farm. Okay, so by this point, something that's interesting for people
Butter,
that aren't
everyone.
dialed into our little weird world is at this point we'd already talked to some people that were in TV. We probably were talking to people regarding getting From the Wild on TV at this point. I think episode 1 was sexy enough to do that. But one of the weird things was that they, not weird, but one of the outcomes was that they were like, you guys are idiots to not make yourself human and communicate what kind of connection you guys have in the food world.
Delicious, she says right there. It's delicious.
So we were spending a lot of time here with Jeff. We went to the kill plant and went to his family and kind of
that pig skull is in Three Boars right now.
That's right. Explored Jeff's character, I guess. It's kind of the first time we did character development. Oh, here we are in the shop. And character development is something we...
There's a skull tank. We're going to put some pigs. Oh, yeah, there's me fishing around. We're scalding some pigs there. And there's the filthiest man. Yeah, that's the filthiest guy I know. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, there he is.
Yeah, I like how my eyes are really sketched out.
You look like you have black contacts in.
Uh-huh. There's just so much killing. It was bison and wild pigs, and wild pigs went World War Z. You're gonna have to buy the extra episode to see what World War Z is. The definition, the glossary of terms that I use. But yeah, I was totally... This was like, what, for me, year 3 or 4 at the slaughterhouse, being a slaughterer. But whenever we had bison or these wild pigs, things got pretty Western.
That's a wild pig right there? It doesn't look like it.
Yeah, I remember this
They
day.
scrape down pink like that?
Yeah, they do, yeah. The hair and hide come
Okay,
off.
and we were bringing all that junk in the back of that truck, which I made look out of focus, but that junk was going to bear baits. This was my first bear hunt ever, buddy. And
Wow.
You know how many bears we've killed since then?
As many as we want.
Oh, man. It's hard to...
Yeah, well, I had done very little. I had baited bears a few years prior to this episode and killed one bear, I think, over bait after 3 or 4 seasons of failure. And we did talk about the ethics. Here's us carrying in some bait into the bear bait, because for filming we wanted to at least be able to film some bears or film a bear, increase our likelihood of filming a bear dying.
Yeah. Plus it's a common way. It's like how do you hunt bears in Alberta? You bait them in a WMU where it's legal.
And Trevor's running this bait anyway. Trevor is the kid. He appears more in... Oh, there we go. What just happened? Passing gas. Way to include that in the edit, thanks. There's Trevor's stand. This is near the Athabasca River, north of Whitecourt, sort of.
There's a hideous stink of dead things that some people bait with like popcorn and donuts.
Yeah.
And you bait with all the stinky dead things.
This was a gut processed, meat.
Oh,
meat processor waste.
Skip you aheady. This is Kevin's first bear kill that he's ever been on ever, which was actually kind of dramatic because...
Cue the choir. This is great. This is the reality of wearing street clothes hunting. And I had my golf shirt on.
I think I wrecked those boots that day.
Yeah.
And I'm pouty because you know who didn't carry the bear? I didn't carry the bear.
You had the camera. So yeah, Trevor and I swapped out, carrying this bear out that we just shot, and we just had to see it through. And also the vehicle. There's no way getting a vehicle to where we'd gone on our walk to shoot the bear. Man, dramatic.
Important to note that we had switched vehicles. I had the knives in my vehicle, and so the guys cleaned the bear with like a pocket knife,
a toothpick, and
I
some
always tell the
chopsticks.
story about that I was like, what, a pocket knife? And Jeff's like, oh man, I field dressed animal once with my Durango key. And I don't know if he was joking or not, but field dressing with a car key is
totally
amazing.
true.
Hilarious. Oh, switch gears. Episode 4.
Episode 4. Look, your hair's getting longer.
I know.
Oh, the clipper. Man, it seems like this just happened.
Oh, that knife was gifted to me by somebody in Japan filming a documentary. And we're out with Braden Kozak, a good buddy of ours from Three Boars. And man, was that day hot. It was 30 some above that day. We were roasting pretty hard. Oh, this drone flight is the first time I ever crashed a drone into a lake. It fell in the lake at the end of this flight.
That's a costly shot, Kevin. Is what that is.
And thanks, GoPro. A lot of the underwater shots, all the underwater shots and all the aerial shots, of which I think a lot of people think From the Wild's pretty rad cinematography wise, like that shot right there. I mean, that's awesome. That's just a bloody GoPro at 2.7K. As is that.
Yeah, I like the reflection.
This was a dangerous gig for gear though. Almost spilled the gear into the
Well,
drink.
yeah, I have less balance than average and I weigh a lot. So in a canoe,
Yeah,
you're almost guaranteed I'm gonna run.
actually, we've never done a canoe shoot since this moment, actually. During Cook It Raw, a couple years onward after this, I remember being with a canoe guide in Kananaskis, and he said, okay, I need like 5 guys on that side of the canoe. Jeff Senger, you're on the other side of the canoe. Jeff is a powerhouse in a canoe, and
I like to get it done.
you have like one gear, buddy. It's just like
just go.
Five man go. You're like 5 manpower instead of horsepower. So we didn't catch a sweet shit all, and so we're moving on to a different lake, I think.
We did a lot of paddling, me and that guy there,
Yeah,
Braden, from Three Boars Eatery.
yeah.
One of the top places to eat in Edmonton.
Yeah, and this was he's the first chef we incorporated it. This is the first chef appearance.
Good call.
Wow.
Athabasca Falls, stunning, epic. I was kind of
Yeah.
hoping some of my shots would be included. I just remember giving advice on one shot at Athabasca Falls, and then you took it. Oh, here we go.
Oh, what about the whitefish?
This is the swarm whitefish. I'm really disappointed with those.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I know. The shots are horrible. It doesn't give you the sense of scale. We were surrounded by hundreds of whitefish at that moment. And sitting atop the water, it was insane. We thought the underwater footage would show up, but doesn't. You see like 1 or 2 fish, but there was hundreds of fish, yeah. Yeah, what a bizarre moment.
On Talbot, paddling around Talbot. We had done some spot hunting of pike in the weeds.
I think more importantly too is that we'd spent days failing at trying to catch trout in Moline and in Mobe and in Pyramid, and we finally were starting to find some victory in Talbot Lake. Look at you, we're near one of your outbuildings in a barn or something. And that's a good moment.
Whitefish in the tree.
Yeah.
Nice boonie hat. Get your style figured out there, guy. And probably don't touch dead found fish.
That are kind of dry.
Probably don't try.
He's even laughing.
Yeah, Braden liked that I picked the fish out of the tree.
Yeah.
I don't know why we decided we had to touch it.
It seemed like the right thing to do.
He's dried right out.
There was fish everywhere, and there was a fish in a tree, and we've actually probably never seen anything as bizarre as that since that day.
We believe in eagle. What is
There's
on
some
Braden's
fish slime on his leg. Oh, I was ticked at Braden because he's like, got one. I'm like, yeah, right, you do. There's no way, because they're not biting what you got there. But he happened to catch one, and it was not a happy fish, and it was his first this is Braden's whitefish ever, and on a day when he caught his first fish ever. And actually we have enabled a lot of people in this series to get out and catch their first fish, shoot their first animal, shoot their first bird, and this would be the first time we ever guided somebody and put them onto their first fish. That wasn't
his first whitefish.
Yeah, it was his first whitefish. He caught his first pike earlier in the day, but yeah, that was an exciting day. That's our first guiding.
Yeah, we had so much fun. Well, and you should use that word lightly. I think there's professional guides and outfitters, and that's important. We can't.
No.
Guys that do
guiding,
this for
I meant by
yeah.
hosting.
Yeah, hosting. Oh, that's a better word. Part 1. That was
Part
a little
1
quick.
Of what? What was that? Oh, it's all gold. It's September, I guess.
Change scenes. What's this?
Oh,
Bear.
I know what this is.
Bear?
No, this is our elk hunt, our first elk hunt, which was entirely not an elk hunt to the Simonet and Berland area.
Unattempted elk. Dented the trailer in that shot. And also the truck, I think. When I jackknifed. Oh, there it is. It's all crumpled on one side. Nice. Oh, we had From the Wild Crew t-shirts printed by now.
Yeah.
I think I'm down a few pounds at this point.
Yeah, you are.
A little bit. Yeah. I think the wind.
Best spruce grouse hunt we've been on in a long time.
Spruce grouse everywhere.
It was spruce grouse after spruce grouse after spruce grouse. Some more Labrador
tea.
Yeah.
The Model 1100 shotgun you saw, just a little clip of. Oh, there's some spruce grouse that just need to die.
Just made one die.
3 were wounded. No, they
died.
Yeah,
there's another
100%.
one.
Yeah,
Another spruce.
Let's see a rough
yeah.
grouse. Oh. It's funny because you may have cut from a rough grouse to a spruce.
Oh yeah, and then there's me shooting. It was a shotgun shot with a 22 finisher. Again, bad sequencing back in the day. It's okay. That's how you learn. This was a time when this ended up into 2 episodes. That was not the intent from day 1. And first prospector tent use ever. Deluxe wall tents, thank you for sending us extra stuff.
Poop hole, just digging a hole to take poop in.
No, it's a fire pit hole.
Oh.
And you know what we learned recently? Why you dig one of those?
Because you don't want to start a ground fire in the peat.
We almost started a fire.
Whatever. It would have been fine.
So Jeff's setting up the tent. I'm cooking some spruce grubs.
This.
Yeah, I know, man. We were so far back.
Man, I just remember bear tracks and wolf tracks all over the place.
And helicopter guys that were like,
what the hell they were doing oil field work with helicopters because no one wanted to drive as far back as we were.
Yeah.
This was on the Seamanette River logging road, I guess, the main haul road.
Yeah.
Which is in western Alberta.
I'm going to correct that. Berland at this point.
Oh, Berland.
We didn't make Seamanette yet. We thought we were on the Seamanette and we failed. We were dumb.
There was just a lot of crappy rough road driving and...
first cast iron use on a fire from the wild, which is now commonplace. But, there's a couple of rough grouse legs, but some spruce grouse breasts.
Some pellets. Any pellets?
No, you were using a shotgun back then. Interesting. I was still 22 guy. First and possibly last use of the Porsche.
There's some wolf track that only the greatest outdoor adventurers among the watchers, the viewers will know. Really cool. Like we were laying out the foundation of how colors should be filmed and how fires should be included and how the backlit tent, like so many cool elements carried through into what we're filming.
Yeah, we learned a lot. That's a beautiful shot.
I really like that.
Yeah, and that.
Yeah, the star time lapses. I don't think we really got a ton of in season 3 yet.
No,
that's coming.
It's tough. It's tough. You know why? Because of fatigue. This morning, I remember, actually, of all the places in the whole province that I want to go back to shoot moose, this is one of them. That WMU had moose. We just were driving around and, hey, look, there's moose around. And, we were really far back and trying to get out. And, we fast forwarded to not being locked, and that's the first bear I ever shot at. And it looked like I hit it, and I did not.
Yeah, we were convinced from our vantage point that was a dead bear.
Yeah. A deflection was the name of the episode, I think. And I missed. It hit the tree. It hit something but before the bear. And
it glanced off a branch or something and then wounded the tree really good.
Yeah, and that was the first time I ever missed a shot on a big game animal in my life. I was 36 or something.
You had not taken enough reckless shots.
I was green. I was very green. Yeah, very green.
I think hunting with me, you came to accept that you would miss more. You shoot it more, miss more.
I have the prescribed sunglasses.
It's the world that I live in.
For my interview.
Or do we get to see the tree with the bullets in it in this edit?
I don't know.
Maybe not. This is us just booby-hooing.
Yeah, blabbing. Lots of blabbing. We've done a better job of less blabbing.
I think in the field talking a bit is better than the interview and then cutting to the action, interview, cutting to the action.
Yeah,
this worked.
Yeah. Well, and the problem with this adventure, and that's one of the things about adventures and journeying into places, is that if you sit down and shoot the crap and tell a story, sometimes that story is longer than 22 minutes. Yeah. Sometimes it takes 45 minutes to tell a story.
There's where the bullet hit the tree. The bullet that missed the bear.
Oh, no, we didn't switch. Oh, there's my first bear I ever shot in my life ever. That one. It's still, I think, the biggest bear I've ever shot in my life, and that hide is on my bed to this day. It's what I sleep under 11 months of the year, except for July when it's really hot out. And here's some drone styling that we don't do anymore, for good reason, because I've crashed a few of them, and a good way to crash a drone is low like that. But really critical. This is actually super important for me. Jeff and I met and started from the wild around showing stuff that other shows wouldn't show, other people wouldn't show. So you'd never see this ever. Somebody ripping the esophagus out of a black bear, like that's completely not.
Well, I get, just to speak to it a bit, I get how this is not 99.9% of people's cup of tea. But those same people eat hamburgers, you know? And it all starts this way. The prettiest food picture.
Yeah.
And in some ways, like, I kind of resent that this has been, what do you call it, sterilized, or it's been removed from what most people see as food prep. This is like food prep step 2.
Yeah.
Step 1,
Yeah.
shoot animal. Step 2, gut animal.
Yeah.
And it's not like we have anything, like, we're not trying to prove anything. This is just in every single piece of meat that you eat. It started out as a living thing with guts in it, and the guts have to come out.
I'm going to argue that you're not trying to prove anything, but I mean, I guess I am. I'm trying to show stuff that people need to connect to. If they're going to eat meat, know that this is part of the process. It just doesn't come in the box store.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess is super obvious.
It's not on a styrofoam tray. Yeah, no, here it is, 36 episodes, 37 episodes later.
That was a fatty bear.
Yeah, that was the fattiest, I think, to date. That was just it was a good experience, a cool experience, and we were at the end of our rope and thinking that the vehicle was going to slide off the muddy roads. I remember rainy and just horrible weather.
Yeah, and we were tired.
Mm-hmm.
Driven a lot. Which sounds like, oh, woe is you. But no, we'd put in like a gajillion miles and missed on some opportunities, on some bears, on some deer. And this was and it was my first bear ever. And really second bear kill that we'd ever been on together. Mm-hmm. Which again is kind of funny because this was the beginning of an era of Alberta having a lot of black bears in it.
Yeah, as a kid growing up, we would see deer and moose kind of all over the place in the areas that I grew up hunting near Swan Hills, and rarely, if ever, a black bear. And that wasn't something that we were ever tagged up to do, cutting out the heart.
Why is that not gross to you? Like that, the people would think, oh, that's so gratuitous, but that's your work. That's like process.
It's funny. You can, or most people would watch apples or watch Blair rolling some dough. And to me, dismantling an animal to make it into food is just like this scene here. Yeah. This isn't offensive to everybody.
No. What I love about this is actually first appearance of Lepsack, which is great. Blair's a good buddy of ours, and like a really good buddy of ours, and he would appear in a lot of things.
And that pie pastry contains bear fat.
Yeah, man, that was a huge thing for me. This was really early on. This was episode 5 or so. We'd caught some fish, we'd done some stuff, shot some grouse, but now we're taking bear fat and incorporating it into a pastry, and not we, like Jeff and I, but like a really well-known, nationally well-known, and internationally well-known chef was taking bear fat and putting it into an organic grains pastry. Grains by John, who would later feature heavily in the series. We'll see him later, but we haven't seen him yet. So this was a bit of a mind blow. This was braised black bear shank in black bear fat organic whole grain pastry with some jus and some greens. I think that was from Lactuca, which is a market garden I was involved with at the time. I own part of and now don't. Got too busy producing things.
And I missed eating out.
Yeah, and you couldn't make it that day. That's just the reality of life. You just couldn't make it that day.
That was a bummer.
Yeah.
I did have a bear steak from Blair that he prepared for us later, but I missed the pie. But yeah, that pie, that was the pretty end. That's the pretty end of cooking with meat.
Yeah.
And I'm primarily involved with the ugly end, particularly in season 1.
First archery episode.
Yeah, here we are looking for moose.
Yeah.
In archery season, there's Trevor on the left and me on the right.
Who's Trevor?
Trevor's this young butcher that we hired soon after buying the slaughterhouse in San Gudo. Trevor came in and applied for a job, and he'd done meat cutting at school at Nate, and had a few jobs kind of in between. But his parents and grandparents, or his grandparents ultimately own land near San Gudo, so he wanted to live there and work in the area, so we hired him on the spot.
So we were close to your house at this point, yeah? We were just like, 20 minutes from your house?
Yeah, this is right in like some forest in the ag area where we live.
And how many bull moose had you and I drilled with an arrow to this point?
Never. Still 0 moose drilled with an arrow to this point.
It's not an easy thing to do. However, we got pretty close on this one. I remember being pretty spooked a couple times when we got close. Wow. This interview filmed way after the fact. This is in a prospector tent in the wintertime. I remember that moment. Wow. I remember driving by right getting to the land that day. I'm going to back up a point. And I saw a moose in the bush and Jeff stalked it, but we hunted moose. There's no other episode where we've hunted as many days as on this episode. Period. I was driving to Sanguru and back umpteen times to try and make this moose death happen. I don't even remember how many days, but it was a lot. And then this particular day, Blair came with me.
Yeah, our goal was to be new archery enthusiasts or hunting with archery tackle.
Yeah.
In the early season for bull moose.
I think Blair had a rifle because deer was open at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But he'd never been on a big game hunt at that point. That was Blair's first big game hunt, I guess. Not that he was tagged up or anything. He was just carrying a gun for whoever needed to shoot stuff. But later in the series, he gets tagged up and we get him on his first kill. And this is fast forward months. This is what, December? Oh, we're back in September.
I think that was just the interview that we did.
Yeah, we did the interview
for
way
this
later,
episode. Yeah,
because we did the cookery segment way later.
So this is about October, county of Lac St. Anne in Alberta, and.
Do you remember getting close to moose?
Totally. I remember my heart beating so hard that my eyeballs were shaking. Oh, I grew up hunting moose. I've killed, I don't know, between 12 and 20 moose in my life, I guess, with a rifle, from when I was age 15 or 16 up until now. And no, then that can't be true.
No, I don't know.
I've been on lots of moose hunts.
Yeah.
Or been around while moose are killed, but anyway, this was our first attempt with archery. I had a bow growing up as a kid, but never hunted big game with it. And I guess kind of the series encouraged us, or why not try archery? Your dad was big into archery in the South.
By the end of the season, I think this was kind of archery 101. That's a bad way to put it, but we ended up falling in love with archery later in the season.
Yeah.
This day I always remember. We called you Legolas after this day.
I did quite a bit of running.
This is the first day you started running. Because why not? You have a bow.
Yeah, you have to get close. And why not run like a...
Oh, there you go. I saw your shadow. Oh,
see, this kind of almost worked. If that moose screwed up and stopped, I think it does on the hill. No, it doesn't stop. But if I was in the right place at the right time,
it kind of
just
almost inside the bush
worked.
for you, yeah, it could have worked. And that's the weird, screwy part about hunting is you never really know what is going to work. And as fate would have it, later in the season, that strategy actually did work. This moment I'll never forget.
Yeah.
This moment I'll never. Yeah, and that's a lesson that you've taught me as a hunter, and I appreciate that. No, you don't know what's going to work. So you just got to be open to this can't possibly work, but we have to try it. That scared the crap out of me. Look at the rack on that thing. Yeah. And he was coming in, look at that.
Yeah. Now, that's not like for trophy hunters, that's not a massive trophy moose.
But that's a nice
But for
moose.
Food hunters, that's a nice moose and also terrifying. Knowing that in his mind right now is that he wants to get to having sex. He wants to get to breeding. And his eyes are right on Kevin and I.
Yeah, and I've got my 5D3 on a monopod.
Yeah, Kevin had his self-defense camera, and I had some sticks.
With some blades.
Some sticks and strings.
And he's like, here I come, buddy. Here I come.
Yeah, I really thought. I remember, because the camera makes it look like it's further away than it is. He was probably 60 yards there. And we were just 15 yards or 20 yards inside the tree line on a swamp.
Oh, and he never did come in.
No, we failed miserably there.
Yeah, and this is Lebsack cooking the moose that you ended up shooting while I was in Japan.
Right, rifle season opened this same episode, and on day 1, minute 3 of opening season, because we knew where the moose were so well, and we kind of knew what we were doing from the archery part of our hunt, and that's a good lesson.
Yeah,
I shot it within minutes of the opening line. There's some farm fresh cream. This is where we see the star of the show. Unpasteurized farm cream from our farm.
You're right. Season 3, cream has been a very, very heavy player.
There's been no chef that has said no and failed to incorporate unpasteurized farm fresh cream in a dish.
In this cookery segment, just for fun tidbits, I guess if that's what we're doing, This was filmed on Jeff's land at Sangudo. We needed to nail down a cookery segment for this moose piece, and actually I think, no, this is the second one, and here we go, Lebsack again. Yeah,
that's bear fat from your big fat bear that Heather, right, my wife, rendered.
100 pounds of fat on that that sow. So yeah, I guess cookery segment number 2, Mr. Lebsack again. Although that's not fair, because Braden did some fish cookery. We went back and had a great party after catching a bunch of fish, so that's not fair.
So that's moose on bear fat on a hot cast iron surface.
Yeah, and he took ground moose and made some ground moose patties stuffed with moose marrow.
Moose bone marrow, yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
This was a really I don't know, there was something poignant about this meal. Look at the marrow going into that. Lebsack knows how to use marrow anyway. He uses it in his restaurant all the time. So look at the marrow.
Yeah, he made meatballs, moose meatballs.
That's
stuffed,
a lot of marrow.
Stuffed with bone marrow. That was my job.
That was your genius, is what it was.
Well, just to provide ingredients.
Let's extract it.
Yeah.
No, let's not just that. It's just, you weren't just like, hey, here's some ground moose. It's like, here's some ground moose and some marrow. Again, an ingredient I had never worked with till that point. So this was a fun one. This was a fun cookery segment. We just literally cooked food and ate our faces off and enjoyed the heck out of kind of a crappy, otherwise completely average winter day. And I think that's probably something important that translates to all From the Wild episodes, is there's a lot of average days that turn into
extraordinary.
Yeah, that turn into extremely memorable moments of your life.
I think there's these I don't know, maybe this is a theme in the future. You have these cook parties where people in the food business sort of, or people who give a shit about food, just bring the best ingredients they can and then put some talented people and build a fire and have lots of grills. And then this is what happens when you have someone inspired to cook and then someone inspired to provide ingredients. You get a gut ache.
We're just drinking wine.
What's that? What was the greens? Was that just simple parsley?
I think it was parsley, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Lame. That should have been dandelion or...
Not at this time of year, though. I mean...
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's not seasonal, but...
Look at the steam. Whoa. It must have been a cold day.
Right up, yeah.
Cold day.
It was. I remember that.
Yeah. And that was delicious. That doesn't look necessarily delicious, but that was caramelized onions and fried potatoes and cream. Come on. In farm butter with salt.
Yeah, I was just staring like a murderer.
Super important that Lebsack, I call him that. That's his last name. Blair is a very accomplished guy. So we were pretty lucky that he somehow decided to plug into this series at this point.
There's the marrow balls.
Marrow balls. Yeah, marrow stuffed meatballs. Come on. Look at that. Who gets to eat that?
We need to stop. I need to go get something to eat. But it would be so disappointing.
It would be so disappointing.
No matter what it was.
And that's one of the actually huge takeaways. And this is a great example. We talk about it a lot, is the opportunities you get to really super deeply connect with the people and the ingredients. With food, that going out to eat after this becomes kind of a waste of time. Because that moment right there, Blair had been moose hunting with us, and he's eating moose, and we're eating pickles made by the family. Look at the steam pouring off of everything. So cold. Drinking beer and freshly fermented stuff from the garden, from your yard, and
peat relish and sauerkraut.
Yeah, and moose that we'd hunted, I don't know. There's something so rewarding about that connectivity that is irreplaceable from a food experience standpoint. That's as perfect a plate conceptually as any.
Yeah. Well, nice shots too.
Well, not really. I mean, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's an okay food shot. Yeah. But the concept and the people and the experience is something you can't pay for. And we've talked a lot about that, but it's really important.
Honestly, thinking back to season 1, I didn't think that we had done as well as we had on food. And that was sort of a criticism that's come up a few times, but
yeah.
Why wasn't more food going on in season 1? And just maybe it's just the highlight reel here as well for season 1.
Yeah, I chose a few food moments.
Yeah, but
shifty gears.
We did okay. Hamaruka, southern Alberta.
Wow. October. I grew up as a 5-year-old. My dad's been coming to this place since I'm gonna get this wrong, potentially 72. And this scene will never happen again in From the Wild.
This is legit. That's a legit hard nipple.
I decided I'm going to I'm gonna film 2 shots of Jeff Senger. Literally, this is.
That was a horrible shot. I missed the bullseye completely.
Arrow number 1.
I did the exact same thing again. And make another horrible shot, except
with a lot of wind.
Yeah, the wind.
But I literally was filming
completely
2
random.
shots. We were not filming
I
all
Robin
day.
Hooded that. That was just 2 arrow shots.
That was lucky.
And I was pissed off because I only brought 6 arrows.
I think you brought 3 arrows.
Maybe 3 arrows.
And you wrecked 1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that cannot be underplayed. What happened there?
The
reality of what
probability
happened.
will.
Yeah. There's no way you could do that again.
Here is a scene really important to me because we saw a moose. We had just been archery hunting. This is the important context. We just, as you saw, we were just archery hunting moose for days and days and days and days and days. And here we are out with bows in southern Alberta, and this bull moose is way far out. And I said, "Hey, Dad, call this thing," and look how close he gets the thing to us. We could have totally planted that with an arrow 800 times, but we didn't have a tag. Look at him.
Yeah, isn't it multiple years to get a bull moose tag? It was fun.
We haven't filmed a moose that close since that day.
Yeah, look at the love in his eyes. And he's so disappointed that the 3 of us were not a lady moose.
Yeah. Really, I'm itching to get back out. We're about to go back out to this place. This is our next hunt on deck. And this style of hunt is exciting in a way that's hard to explain. You spot deer in the morning and then you stalk them in the afternoon while they're bedded down, which sounds impossibly the probability must be 0, but actually there's so much opportunity in parts of Alberta to do this that you have a reasonably good shot at it every single day.
And it's like hide and go seek with surprise, you're murdered.
Yeah. And this is our first experience with camo, which we have mixed feelings about to this day. But social license on this hunt with my father and in that area is that you wear camo all over, because you really do need to ninja up to them and shoot them in their bed. There's just no other way to put it. They're bedded down, and you're shooting them while they're laying down having a nap. That's what you're doing. And so you have to be so quiet, and I thought I knew what quiet was until this hunt. And then, again, fun tidbits, skipping back. We put the GoPro on Jeff's bow, and I think it screwed up your string, right? Didn't it screw up something? You had to reassemble your bow because we put that GoPro on your bow?
Eventually, yeah.
Do you remember that?
The peep sight, I think, wore through or something like that.
I think it clunked up the way that the string threaded through your gears or something.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so fun hunt, tough hunt. And this was the first time that Jeff and I kind of got put onto, put really onto bow hunting. We bow hunted for moose a lot, but it was a lot of kind of running around and chasing stuff. And I think this is the first time we had an elder teaching us, okay guys, this is how it's done.
Yeah, I think that was huge advantage to have someone who's been bow hunting, archery hunting for mule deer in this terrain. Oh, we just saw a tiny glimpse of.
And my dad has killed enough deer in this terrain that he's bored of it. That's how many deer.
Nice antelope shot. But he had 40 years of experience doing it.
Yeah.
That's a trophy antelope on the right.
Yeah, we're gonna get.
We weren't hunting for them, but
yeah, it's coming. It takes forever, 8, 9, 10 years to get drawn for pronghorn in Alberta, and we're about to go on that hunt. So this footage is exciting.
Season 4, yeah, season 4 we'll go on a pronghorn hunt maybe. But yeah, that really got bow hunting for mule deer in my blood, and a completely different experience from rifle hunting anything.
Yeah.
It's as different as...
And from the boreal.
Yeah.
The grasslands are just a weird place.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? Oh, this is just another example. If you go out in the morning and spot deer, go, there's some deer, and then you wait to see if you know where they're bedding down, and there's geese everywhere. There's some geese back in there.
Yeah. No, it's funny. And you were explaining that your goal is to watch them bed down and then shoot them in their bed while they're having a nap, but they're not actually asleep. They're just they're lounging. They're recluse.
Yeah.
So in the mornings they're out feeding. These
like this.
These are all does. Yeah, these are not our target we need to find a buck, something with antlers.
No, we were fine. We were fine with
Oh, was
those
it?
too. Yeah.
No, you're right.
That's
I
not
just saw
long
that.
ago.
Yeah, in the prowl there. Yeah, it was a long time ago. But it's nuts to try and get to within our lethal range with archery tackle is probably 30 yards.
Yeah.
I'd say for me.
Yeah. I'm good to 40 now,
yeah,
but back
for-
then it would have
yeah.
been 20.
For skilled archers, they might be able to shoot at 60 or 70 or 80 yards. There's all these stories in all the gun magazines, but for us, on our first archery hunt, we practiced a lot with bows. I remember that summer just shooting a bag of straw like every day.
I hadn't yet. I have since then, but I hadn't at that point. I was still really green. I was happy to have the camera. And there's my dad, full ninja style. And he's good. Like, he's killed some huge mule deer.
Ridiculous, yeah.
Yeah, huge mule deer. Do you remember the score of some of the mule deer down there? Low 200s, 212, 220, that kind of thing? Like, big, not just 160s.
Which doesn't matter for making a food show or making a dinner.
But it tells you the amount of time he spent down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes time.
It's
If
an
you can-
indicator, is all it is.
Yeah, to sneak up quietly on a young animal with little experience is quite a bit easier than sneaking up on an old animal who's been maybe shot at before.
Yeah.
They have big antlers because they made good choices. Yeah, this is right after I got busted and dropped an arrow into one mule deer buck.
Which
The
is
three
the
other ones took off. Yeah.
first and only?
First and only arrow I ever put into a living thing.
Yeah. And you were
that's when I'm
collapsing
just
emotionally.
about ready,
Yeah.
to shart.
Yeah.
I think is the word. A joy shart.
Oh, and just to props to my dad a bit. The deer swung around, and my dad hit him again at like 70 yards, which is a hard shot. And he didn't hit him well, but the deer had a chance to take a step forward to that range.
I was sketched out. There's so much adrenaline
right there. My
coming
dad
out,
had
yeah.
just planted him with another arrow at really far range.
Yeah, with Ian flanking
Which is
us.
not impressive. With a rifle, it's the difference between rifle hunting and bow hunting.
There's
is
an
just
unhappy deer.
night and day. Yeah, he's got two arrows in him at that point.
So we backed out of there. Oh,
This is your successful chase down of a deer. Shaboom, he's in the grass there.
yeah,
and
there he goes.
Shaboom into the fence.
And
That deer took 4 arrows before
he subsequently died instantly.
Yeah, 4 arrows.
And then I was bleeding him like I was on the kill floor. I was pretty hepped up on adrenaline.
Yeah.
And I thought, just bleed him and get the blood out.
And
there was no blood left in him. And that's not funny, actually. There was no blood left in him.
we'd stalked him for hours.
Yeah.
It was a hard hunt.
Yeah, it was difficult for everybody. And we just needed to get to see it done, to see that work done.
He
and
was
we
really
got the work
stressed. Do
done.
you remember the meat quality on that guy?
Fantastic.
Really?
Yeah.
Isn't that counterintuitive?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't know why, but it was fantastic.
Wow.
Young buck.
Here's a fun thing. Okay, here's the backstory of this one. I had been contracted. I was doing wild food culinary, for the table type wild food writing for the ACA, the Alberta Conservation Association, for a few years by this point. Oh, safety is on.
Oh, poor John.
That would have been our first
John's debut
That would
in
have
the
been
commentary.
our first Huns, and that's John Schneider with safety on. They'd contracted me to do some culinary demo stuff, and I'd brought Jeff on to do some as well. He'd made some sausage at the Pheasant Festival in Tabor, so we were down there to do that.
Exactly.
Drone on the bottom left. I never noticed that.
That is a cool drone. We should talk more about the drone.
No.
Less about the shock.
Jeff had his first of many. First of, not his last, insect encounter in Tabor at a hotel. We had a bed bug problem.
Yeah, I really did. And I don't really like talking about it.
There it is.
Jeez, I don't like watching this. It makes my skin crawl.
So I had the first moment in my life where I really had to man up and go, okay, I've got my friends in a really kind of compromised situation. John had a straw bale house where bed bugs are like a no-go fly zone. And Jeff was totally uncomfortable.
We couldn't risk bringing these eggs and these bed bugs back.
Yeah, the long and the short of it is I lost a fairly large client because we pulled out that day, and I decided to prioritize my friends over that contract. This was a fun sequence. I love the Badlands, and I've missed it ever since. We're headed there in next week and the next week.
It's beautiful. I could watch these drone shots all day, and I think that you should edit something. Here's what you should do, Kevin. I know you love when people tell you what you should do.
I want to know what I should do.
I would just pay to watch a ton. That's good to sharpen your arrows.
Yeah, I bet. Broadheads.
I think I think John he just wanted to make sure that he was on. He had brought a lot of arrows.
And John's first appearance ever. Why did we even bring John? I don't even know.
He was available and it was fun.
I think, because we started to hear his hunting stories. John used to be a hunting guide and a fishing guide and do crazy stuff like this, like stalk a deer in street clothes with a bow, with traditional archery gear that he built, with arrows that he built, and go plant an arrow in a deer. He's shot trophies that way. No problem, done. Cougars, black bears, you name it, John's killed it. So we really wanted to get him out and see what would happen. Badlands moose, bizarre. We fell in love with this area, or at least I did. I can't wait to get back to this area. We didn't.
It's so
season
dramatic.
2.
I'm kind of in awe.
You're kind
I
of
remember
watching.
being there. Yeah, I'm just watching the show and not like, I should probably talk.
One of the amazing parts is that in this area in the Badlands of Alberta, you see mule deer. Like you have 5 to 10 encounters every half day. It's kind of like being in the grasslands, I guess. So it's not that big a deal. These railroad tracks, factoid, have been removed since then. They were in the process of being removed, so that's just all gravel now. Which
I had a shotgun in case we spooked up some birds.
There were pheasants everywhere.
Mm-hmm. It was nice. I mean, yeah, you didn't really connect it, but we left Tabor.
Yeah.
After doing some hunting there in this episode, and then we just relocated.
Random dice rolled on where do we go, and we relocated to here.
Because this pheasant thing was on, there were no hotel rooms in Tabor except the one that we had, which we weren't thrilled with because of the thing. So we said we've got a few days booked off from family, from our lives, and so we talked about always wanting to do some work, this kind of filming and hunting in the Badlands,
which is a different geography. Nice.
Yeah, that deer was just standing off to one side of the railroad track.
And John had killed deer in this area before. I think that's important. That's the first deer I ever hit with a bow. That one right there. Right there. I totally smoked it. And I smoked it low, and it was the worst stalk of my life. I had never fatally injured an animal until that day, which did not feel good. The end. So here we are going way up the coulees. So the difference between a week before, and here we are going down a draw, we saw this deer again. The difference between the grasslands chasing Jeff's deer and this deer was that you're going up and down like a mountain cliff. Down a coulee you go, up a coulee you go, down a coulee you go, up a coulee you go, and it's really hard on you. I'm sure it's hard on the animal too, but they're used to that terrain. It's not an easy stalk. Yeah, I look tired. Oh, and I was about to leave. I left for Japan for the filming of Springhammer 2 one day after we returned from this trip.
That's nuts. That's one of my favorite.
One of my favorite
shots ever. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, there's something about GoPros and drones and sunsets like along and then dropping into
and that country. Yeah, it's such a bizarre country.
Oh, I look like a mess. I remember this.
A tired Kevin Kossowan.
Yeah.
What now? What episode are we on? I bet it's white-tailed deer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And moose, calf moose. This is my last calf moose draw.
I wasn't on this episode.
Yeah, you were.
Calf moose?
Oh no, you weren't here at all. No, you were here. You're gonna be about to appear.
I think so, yeah.
I shot a deer.
We split up is what happened.
Yeah, I shot a deer in there. No, there's a lot of you in this episode. It's just that at this point we had split up, I think, which was a bit of an error. And this is again just figuring out from the wild, figuring out what works, what doesn't work. I think this was a good episode for figuring out the truck hunting, which is driving around, spotting spot and stock, is difficult for the format. I had never shot so many things in one trip as this trip, and had so little footage as this trip.
Yeah, if you're the shooter, and also the cameraman.
Yeah, it's tough. So
there's two deer and a calf moose.
Yeah, I shot that deer. I shot another whitetail coming up here, and then I shot a calf moose, and it was tough to make any story out of it because we were just too busy driving around looking for stuff. So we've amended the gig since then. Beautiful frost that morning. Man, that's heavy frost.
Yeah, I remember not killing anything at all.
I shot that first deer badly, and then Jacques was like, bloodhound on it. It was impressive.
Mhm.
It was one of those moments where I thought, oh man, I've blown this. And then he would find blood, and eventually he would find the deer, and we eventually put it down. This deer, though, the second doe, I shot her right through both lungs. She just was spewing blood all over the place and ended up in
People love to hear that.
Sorry.
No, it's true. That's exactly what happened.
Spewing in the best possible way.
Hemorrhage. Just a really peaceful
Yeah, that
hemorrhage.
one drop was not what the snow looked like. The snow, there you go, that's better. There was just blood
That was
everywhere.
a peaceful hemorrhage.
Yeah. Well, she died in like I don't know, 30 seconds. She ran away, and I thought, oh crap, I've failed again. And nope, she just ran enough to get into the trees.
Yeah, rifle hunting and waiting for the right shot and knowing your capabilities and hunting with someone experienced until you feel experienced enough. All these things are so important to make harvesting living things, as ethical and as quick and easy and on the animal as possible. This is really heavy. I think that this commentary, a full commentary about what we do, is maybe more controversial than the video of it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Just thinking about someone listening, and it's difficult work. And then being a person who kills animals, domestic animals, weekly, and we try and do that, minimize stress. We've invested quite a bit in equipment and training and research in making animals dying easier on the animal.
Yeah, the bear claws on the left.
Yeah,
Never
that's
noticed
funny.
that. Never noticed that until today.
But I think we strive for the same in the forest when we're harvesting wild animals. An old hunter in my family once said that the animal has a great life, and then like great for years, and then one really bad couple of minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, which is
That's
the
what we
best
shoot
you
for,
could hope for a lot of humans. This is one of the weird moments that we've never tried to redo in From the Wild. My dad and Jacques have really great gear, automated gear for hunting, which is kind of not what we're trying to focus on. So it was a weird moment of hauling a calf moose out, but with a quad. Calf moose, by the way, was the target. It's what we had the tag for. It's what we wanted for the food outcome, and was the legal outcome. It wasn't that we shot the calf because we got by accident. This was, I remember, man, it's so funny how you remember all these moments. There's one thing that's important to understand if you don't hunt, is that these days, whatever that day is, this day right here, it's drilled into your brain. Like, you don't have a choice. You remember this stuff for the rest of your life, and this is one of those days. This is one of those trips, like all of them on this thing.
Yeah, that was emotional. I mean, I'm kind of flabbergasted.
This is Mr. Braden Kozak. I phoned him up and texted him and said, hey man, we've got white-tailed deer. Are you up for a cookery segment? And he was super stoked. He's been really excited and engaged. And that's his blood splat of, I forget what. You'll have to watch the episode to remember what. Or to
I think reduced beat.
Yeah, I think there was quince in there too.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. And parsnip puree and a falafel, which he was really into falafel at the time, which is cool. And then some really basic, whitetail fried and whitetail fat, which he wasn't very used to at that point. It's all the fat on a November whitetail because we were hunting them in late season at that point.
Yeah, I remember this and loved it. We had a little party.
Braden's superpower as a chef is riffing off of complete random ideas and winging it and then succeeding and winning. For some reason, he has an unusual amount of success with that approach, and a lot of chefs try that and fail. Braden wins with that approach. Here's the trailer. I knew this coming.
This is a summary of all of season 1.
So this is just what we all just watched, but sped up, condensed into 2 minutes. Some of my favorite drone shots of the season, obviously, or they wouldn't be in the trailer. Oh, thanks GoPro. Great underwater footage. Super cool. Some people we've never talked about, actually. We've talked about this, and talked about that, but Elise, we never talked about. A really good friend of ours who's a master butcher from the UK, and busted down the bear and made it into sausage in episode 3 of season 1, which is fun. We're already into episode 5. Wow, this is going fast now.
It's just flying.
There's the fat on that bear. Like, obscene
fat shops,
amounts of fat on that bear. one of the best
Some Northern
Northern
Lights,
Lights, yeah, that I've ever filmed.
Yeah, these are some of the funny. There's my dead moose.
Yeah, and there's my dad.
Opening day.
A brief glimpse of my dad. My dad who hates the camera, by the way. That's why he's not on the camera. He doesn't want to be on the camera. Mr. Schneider, we're already there. Episode 10, chasing mule deer and running. That wasn't our dog. Cactus, which is weird. Again, kind of exploring our own province and going, holy crap. I think if there's a takeaway from season 1, that's it. Is exploring our province from the mountains to the grasslands to the boreal to the all of it and going, what? This is where we live? Like, this is the opportunity? And while we might not have had a lot of culinary outcomes from this relative to other seasons, I think that was the big takeaway, is kind of
The adventure outcome.
discovering where we live.
Yeah.
Like, wow, this is what the opportunity is.
Such variety.
Okay, just to spin things for you, Sanger, I included the trailer for season 2, and just to give people an idea of how the series kind of changed. So talk to me about this.
I don't know. I think we sort of found our own better. By season 2, I understood cinematography better, I guess, as a participant and helper, and we were kind of getting better at gear, getting better at harvesting food.
Look at that.
Yeah, that's just crazy.
Also, we're into Canon's cinema line of camera by this point, so we've switched gear. We've upgraded gear.
Yeah, better gear, more emphasis on food.
Man.
Yeah, the underwater shots, crazy. We discovered Slave Lake.
That was a good day. That was a tough day because we failed so bad and then won so hard.
Mm-hmm.
This one you weren't on. This was me and Schneider.
in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, solo, like just slaying some pike. And then Lebsack that's probably the prettiest plate of the entire series thus far.
The pike one.
Yeah.
And then trapping beavers with
Tell me
Brad
about
Brady.
this.
Just an unbelievable, there are kind of no rules, and we decided, why don't we explore trapping and culinary outcomes from trapping?
And how about this
We
one?
ended up with beavers. This is golden bear. It was all weepy.
Yeah, this is a legend in our life.
Yeah.
Like this particular
Golden
bear
bear somehow, has all the mystique. And then I actually did the cooking segment where.
And the fact that it happened all in like 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
This is a tough thing to talk about. This is a moment where Jeff couldn't join us. I had a contract down in the Kootenays, and so Schneider and I went down to the Okanagan and the Kootenays to go fishing. Jeff's mom was dying at the time, which is kind of sucky in all of the suckiest ways. And so this is kind of that same era without Jeff, which is tough. Hank Shaw, who's a legend in wild food cookery, came up for a 6-day hunt. We shot 2 episodes. We shot a waterfowl and a grouse episode up at our main bush, our kind of primary base camp, and had a crazy amount of time. And actually, I would say Hank Shaw was a tip of where it became really about food and plates and less about just kind of going out and doing something fun.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, this is going so fast. This is elk heart dish. Oh, talk about this.
And then all the way to Sweden. So we get this weird invite to come to Sweden. And said, yep. So we're hunting moose with dogs. And we're hunting roe deer with dogs. And we did some baking and some cooking. We didn't shoot anything ourselves, and the intention wasn't for us to kill anything ourselves, but we participated in the hunts, and it was rewarding and amazing. We did catch a fish, and we ate like pigs, and we drank pretty good.
That was a 60-inch moose, roughly.
Mm-hmm.
And this never made an episode. It's in the trailer, but there's a weird factoid. And there's Lebsack's first deer, and there's our winter camp, which was really hard.
And Kevin and I finishing off with a whitetail
And what about
buck,
that?
the From the Wild dinner.
Yeah, well, we've
At
got a lot to
Ranger.
talk about
Yeah,
the next
yeah.
commentary. There's a lot that went on in season 2. So we'll have to come back around.
Thanks for listening.
There's a lot more people in that one too. So season 2
Keep adding talent.
involved a lot more people. Yeah. All right. We'll have to do season 2 next.